Actor Darius McCrary finds himself as a trending topic this morning, but for his courtroom antics instead of his popular role on the hit TV comedy Family Matters.
Wow, Edo, what luck. The girl of your dreams just dropped in.
Hey, baby. Home now.
Known for his role as playing Eddie Winslow on Family Matters, Darius McCrary stood before a judge earlier this week for some more serious matters. McCrary was arrested in California earlier this month, stemming from a missed court appearance in Michigan relating to his failure to pay child support. But he chose to represent himself during the hearing and even presented this motion before the court.
Based on the fact that the 50th District has completely continued to violate all of my rights, my 4th, my 5th, my 14th Amendment, my right to due process is constantly trampled, and I've figured out why, because under due process clause of the 14th Amendment, personal judgment is void if rendered by the court, which has no jurisdiction over the defendant. That's Penmore versus Neff, 95 U.S. 714 24L ED 565, and Michigan has no jurisdiction. Before we proceed, we need to establish jurisdiction.
All right, so let's break down the courtroom conduct, shall we? Let's get our guest's thoughts on Darius McCrary's initial statement and that motion we just saw he made before the court. Let's bring back in attorney David Bruno and welcome in entertainment commentator Holland Reed. David, I want to start with you here, please. He's not a lawyer, but he was really good spouting out, his rights and citing amendments and due process. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm making a special appearance for David Bruno on this one. And that is, listen.
We're going to get to that.
I mean, exactly. That's a little odd, right? But I'll tell you what, he was hitting the points. He actually was hitting the points on extradition. Because anytime we talk about extradition, what first has to be established is the jurisdiction of the original court, that the defendant is the actual person in the complaint or warrant, and then there's a process. It's the extradition process. So there's an old adage that says, he who represents himself as a fool for a client. But Eddie here didn't do a bad job, honestly.
Yeah, I was impressed. I mean, he definitely researched the issues. I was impressed for a non-lawyer to come in there and make that argument to the judge. I thought he did a fine job. Holland Reed, we want to know what you think, please.
Julie, you're going to know what I think, because this is the case of, are you delusional or are you actually really smart? It's like, stay in your lane, play your part. You're an actor on TV, but maybe not. You might want to be careful when you're defending your life, your livelihood, and your rights. But I will say, to David's point, I agree with him. It was cringy to watch, but also very, informative, because he did know what he was talking about. I will say, though, when the judge told him to get a lawyer, I was like, yeah, maybe do that, only because he was coming off a little, not necessarily unhinged, but you just want to make sure you have the degree behind you when you're defending yourself. So, I mean, he did come with the facts. He came with the facts, but still, nobody wants to see it. It was a little cringeworthy, but not terrible.
You're right, Holland. Yeah, it was really not a bad start. That's a good way to put it. It was not terrible. Yeah. A decent start for a non-lawyer representing themselves in the courtroom. So then things changed a bit for him in the courtroom. So he had this to say while responding to the state's reply to this fugitive complaint that was filed against him. Let's watch.
Sir, did you care to respond before the court rules on your motion?
There's no injured party, Your Honor. Oh, I'd like to also say I'm here in special appearance.
Special appearing for who?
I'm here on special appearance.
Sir, who are you specially appearing for?
I'm specially appearing for Darius McCrary. I'm here pro per special appearance.
And when you say you were here pro per and special appearance, who are you?
I'm an authorized signatory thereof of the estate and the executor of the estate.
Who's the state?
The McCrary estate.
And your name is?
Darius. I'm the authorized signatory thereof, Darius McCrary.
And your name is?
Darius McCrary.
Oh. So we're asking, should Darius McCrary act as his own attorney? We know he's an actor. Holland Reed, you're an actress. I want you to weigh in first on this, please.
Julie, I feel like from now on, I just want to be here on a special appearance. I just want to just speak in third person. I never heard that, and you as a prosecutor, I'm sure, like I've never heard anyone stand up and say that about themselves and speak in third person. I think that also is kind of like where Hollywood can really kind of remove you from reality. You're in a courtroom. You're not on special appearance. You are yourself representing yourself. So again, cringeworthy, not terrible, but very interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the first time I saw it, David Bruno, I thought, oh, he doesn't sound well here. What is going on? It's like a strong start, and then what is happening here? But then when I watched it again, I thought, is he confused thinking that he wants to put his appearance on the record? You know, like we say, you know, good morning, Julie Grant, representing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Your Honor, you know, and I introduce myself. Is that what he's doing? I want to know your thoughts, David.
Oh, I'll tell you, who knows what he's doing, honestly? But this is a child support case. He's not paying his child support. And then also the prosecutor made an argument that he's a flight risk because he was arrested like at the border of Mexico. And the argument is that he's developing real estate in Mexico, and that's why he was down there. I mean, round and round and round we go. How about just pay your child support? Okay, then you can get out, and then you don't have to make special appearances, and you don't have to do all this legal work that you have no idea what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, so this warrant's issued, and he gets picked up on this warrant. And so that's why the challenge of, you know, the jurisdiction here. And he's going, wait a second, I'm in California. What's up with this in Michigan? And so he was right to question things. But yeah, like you said, David, if he wasn't paying, and we don't know, want to be clear on that, he needs to clear up his problems if there are some outstanding bills that he owes. Perhaps he should go back to acting. I loved him on Family Matters. I love that show. Who else was a TGIF kid growing up? Holland, David Holland? Yeah, I mean, Family Matters. We lived for that, didn't we? Would you say, David?
Did I do that?
Did I do that, Urkel?
Did I do that? Yes.
Right? Holland, what do you think? Do you think he can get back into acting at this? No, you're fine. I mean, what do you think? We know he was a big child star. Do you think he should maybe think about going back to work?
Yeah, you know, Julie, it's funny that you said that because the first thing that came to mind was Lindsay Lohan. It's like we just wanted her to get back in her groove, and her redemption stories in Hollywood are always the best stories because when you get off kilter, when you kind of like lose your way along the way, especially coming from being a child star, it is hard to get back on the horse. But when you do, and we get to see people working their magic, we love that. We root for that. No one is looking at, you know, Eddie Winslow and saying we want him to fail. We want to root for him. So I think he needs to go back and find a job as a lawyer on television. What are the shows that are out right now? I feel like he could probably play one very well.
He should. You know what? There's a new one premiering tonight. I can't wait to watch Boston Blue, Donnie Wahlberg's show. You know, maybe he could be a lawyer on that one. That would be great. Yes. You're right, Holland. He did a fine job in that first part of the hearing. It was really good.
I swear, child support laws have to be reformed. It's not as easy as this guy on court TV makes it out to seem, like just pay and you'll be just fine. It's more complicated. And I want to talk about it today on the Marc Perspective. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. All right, guys, let's get to it. So, as a lot of you know, Darius McCrary was arrested over child support. And I want to talk about child support because, you know, a lot of people will just say, oh, pay and all this and that. But it's more complex than that. It's a whole host of things that, I feel causes child support to really ruin men, particularly black and brown men. Okay. So McCrary was arrested at the U.S.-Mexico border on a felony warrant from Michigan for failing to appear in a child support hearing. So he faces up to 4 years. Now, think about it. 4 years in jail for unpaid child support, despite claims that his son is now 18 and no support is owed. His legal defense had argued about jurisdictional issues and so forth, about, I guess, being extradited back to Michigan. Now, now we're talking about Darius McCrary from Family Matters. So he's very well known. We know who he is, played with Steve Urkel. And it seemed like he was having a lot of women issues. He might have been drinking and so forth. I have no clue. But it sounded like he had a lot of women issues. And because of that, he happened to father some babies. And a lot of these women, especially, whenever you're not with them, the first thing they do, instead of trying to make some type of arrangement where you can co-parent and, two parents still be responsible for their child, the first thing the women do is go for child support because they assume that men make all this money and they're looking for an easy way. That's the truth. They get the money and the men go through a very rough ordeal with the child support process. So, why do I think child support needs to be reformed? So, punitive enforcement. Let's talk about that. I guess like jail time or license suspension, it doesn't help the child. Okay. It removes fathers from the workforce and from their kids' lives. A lot of fathers would walk away. Take me for example. I did the same thing, because I was stressed because you're taking everything. They're leaving you with nothing. And it's like, okay, fend for yourself. So why men lose their driver's license, they lose all these privileges because they're saying, well, you're not paying child support. And Lord help you if you got to get it modified. You can forget that. Okay. So like I said, they suspend your driver's license for like missed payments. They block access to jobs which when they suspend your driver's license, it blocks access to like jobs, for instance, truck driving jobs, construction, delivery, or any other thing. Jobs that pay pretty well, but these men can't get it because they have no driver's license. So now they can't get the kind of jobs they need to support that child. So they have to go with these low-end jobs, working in the back of it as a fry cook or something. A lot of them get jobs under the table. So they get these low-paying jobs. The system will not reform the child support. It keeps it right where it's at. And then what happens is that the arrears continue to grow. The father seemed like he can't, or the non-custodial parent, because there's women too, seem like they can't catch a break. And it builds more resentment towards the child, the custodial parent, and it becomes a bad situation. It becomes very ugly. And it continues growing. This anger festers. And now the children sees this. And then when they grow up, the cycle continues. And this all started because of Democrats, Bill Clinton, and the welfare reform, which really put men in a bind. And the ones who suffer the most are black and brown men. But you would think that the black women would support black men like they claim to do and fight so that you can have a better system so that the fathers, because there's too many single mothers out there, and the fathers are not involved in their lives. And we could go into a whole bunch of conspiracy theories as to why fathers are not in the child's life. But right now, child support does play a role in why fathers are not in the child's life.
I just don't understand how it could be 3 years and somebody avoids child support. Today, my second child, dad's supposed to show up for child support or court date, whatever. And the lady was telling me if he doesn't show, then they'll just have to reschedule another court date and give it time to be able to serve him. He has to be served in order to have a court date. I know for a fact this person is trying to do whatever he could to avoid being served. I know that for a fact. But I don't understand how this dude is old, in his 60s, and he's been working. I know he's working, and it's been 3 years, and they're still not able to locate him, and he's in Atlanta, Georgia. At this point, I don't know what to do to speed up this process. I just think it's just so ridiculous. And at the end of the day, I just need justice for my child. He don't even got to be in my child's life, but you need to handle your responsibilities. It's not right. It's not fair. And my son now has to live without knowing his dad. It's just so frustrating. But if I reach out to his family members, but I will be wrong. At this point, I don't know what to do, but something's not right. Why is it taking so long when this person is currently living and working, and it's been 3 years? What is so hard for y'all to find this person? How hard could it be? They're not moving quick enough. It's like everybody and their mama gets child support or whatever. And look at me, 3 years, and I can't even get child support from somebody that is living in the same city as me. And I know it has a job because I used to work at the job this person used to work at. This is just so crazy to me. It's to the point, should I put his name out there? Should I continue to go after the family? Let it, keep throwing it in their face and look, he needs to handle his responsibilities, because they're thinking as if my son doesn't exist or that it's not his child, but it's his child, whether they like it or not. He needs to step up to the plate and handle his responsibilities. So if he feels like he's trying to make me suffer, or it's only going to get worse for me because he don't want to step up to the plate, then I need to go after his family and keep throwing it in their face and get justice for my son, because he's avoiding, obviously, having to pay child support. Is there any type of resources that I could go through to speed up the process? I don't know what to do at this point. I really don't know what to do. But I just think this is crazy how it's nothing is being done in a timely fashion. It's been 3 years. It's not right. This is crazy. This is crazy.
So what happens when he stops paying child support? Let's talk about the real consequences. First, the court can issue a contempt order, and that's not just paperwork. That's wage garnishment, your driver's license gets suspended, and possible jail time. So it's real. But here's the part most people miss. You actually have to take action to get the court involved. The court is not keeping up with child support payments and child support enforcement. Child support does not enforce itself. If he's behind, You don't need to get mad. You need to get a legal strategy. If you need help getting started, I got you. Just give me a call.
So I had to change my shirt during the little video break. I spilled something on my shirt, so I changed it real quick so I can finish this video. But I want to continue on. So you heard those people talking, like if the father's not paying or things like that. And I believe there should be some type of support because a mother can't do it alone. It takes two. I just think the system is designed where it's not just asking for help. It's destroying the help. Okay. So you miss a payment, they suspend your driver's license or any other license or passports or things like that you might need. If you lose your license, you can't work. I mean, if you lose your license, you can't work as a truck driver, delivery driver, or even a construction lead. These are things that you need. And for some reason, they feel like taking it away is going to fix the problem. And so far, that's not the case. In fact, things are getting worse, okay? And if you can't work, you fall further behind. So if people lose jobs, okay, not everybody, you can't expect somebody to get a job and they just stay there. People lose their jobs. So in that case, they have to go look for another one. But the payments don't stop. So now you're stuck because they're going to keep it at the original that you was paying. So if you was making a little bit more, they're going to keep it at that. So if you get a job that pays less, oh well. So that's really bad. And if you fall behind, you go to jail. So they believe, and that's why I said the child support laws need to be reformed, because if you go to jail, now you come back out. How do they expect you to get a job? You have a record of you being in jail. You can't get a good paying job. Now you have to, like I said, you got to work as a fry cook or something. You're at the bottom. And when you see guys like this is the one time that I have to stand with men, particularly men of color. Because when you fall behind, then your only resort to on how you're going to survive. Because trust me, child support is not fun and it takes a lot and leaves you with practically nothing. So if you have 2, 3, 4 kids, you're done, okay? So it makes these men go out and sell drugs or do something to make money and to avoid going to jail. And then they're ruining their lives even more because the system was designed, and I feel like the system was designed to set men up for failure, especially men of color. I don't think this was thought out right. Joe Biden and Bill Clinton really shoved it up our behinds, but yet we keep voting for them, and they keep screwing us. And men of color, black men, black and brown men, are really struggling badly. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to realize that, hey, we're getting screwed over and we need to go a different path. I tried writing to President Trump to see what he can do, but I don't think it got through. And I really hope Van Jones should have thought about that. Instead of criminal justice reform, he should have also talked about that, because once again, black men are struggling, which is why black men in America, and this is the truth, they're one of the poorest in America, one of the poorest.
No video that I make is one size fits all. We understand that everybody's situation is different. It really irks me that I have to say that every time. If you felt like it was just back against the wall, then fine, do you. I'm telling you my perspective. My perspective is I'm not putting him on child support. I'm not putting him on child support because you have two choices, to be there or to not be there. If I have to force your hand and go to court and put myself in litigations to get you to be present in your child's life, that means you don't want to be there. Everybody's reply is, oh, I'm going to force my baby daddy to respect me. Girl, you cannot force that man to respect you. He doesn't even respect himself because he laid down with you, came inside of you, had a baby, and then left. He doesn't even respect himself. Any man that respects himself raises his seed, whether he likes the baby mama or not. He just deals with it because he still wants to be in his child's life. Your baby daddy doesn't even want to be there. And you think that putting him on child support is going to help the situation? No, later on when the child gets older, he's just going to be like, well, I sent your mama money every month. That's not enough for me. If you want to be in my child's life, come be in my child's life. If you don't want to be in my child's life, then keep your money. I'm good. Because I got me. I got us. We good. That's my point. My mindset is bigger than child support. My mindset is bigger than court systems. I'm good. Either you're going to help or you're not. But I'm not about to force you to do it. My stance remains the same. Y'all can say what you want. Oh, she's young. But I ain't doing it. I'm good. We good.
To say this to the women watching, pay attention. Because y'all love taking these men for child support. And number one, then you want to raise it takes more than money to raise the kid. When he was coming around, he was helping with homework, he was picking the kids up, he was doing everything. Now you put him on child support and he got to work extra. He can't help. So now you're taking away from the bonding time. That's number one. Number two, whatever that court order is in the state of New York, that man doesn't have to do nothing over the court order. No birthdays, no holidays, not Christmas, not back to school, nothing. It's an option for him. But if you talk to anybody in the court system, he does not. It has to be in the court order. That includes summer camp, everything. Because y'all love taking these men, and then it's like, oh, well, now, how you not going to help with the birthday party? Because, sis, I gave you child support. I gave you child support. Like, we be so gung-ho on child support, and you really went down because your auntie is bitter. Your mama told you to do it. You really wouldn't even think about taking homie for child support. I know somebody who, homie was on child support. They got back together, and he was like, so when you going to take me on? She was like, I'm not.
Message. Child support is debtor's prison. And debtor's prison was abolished by law. It's against the law. So they are the violators. And you can sue for $2 million. When your rights are being violated, especially if it rises to the level of a human rights violation, you have the right to sue and hold the violators accountable to the law. Now, this is legal education, not legal advice. I cannot guarantee any legal outcomes. No one can. But I can guarantee that you will learn, okay, which is why I wrote my book, okay? I'll have it at the end of the video, but I just wanted to put this little birdie in your ear. If you have that fight in you, I can teach you, through my book, I can teach you the rules and the procedures of the court, okay? Again, I don't guarantee any legal outcome, but I can guarantee that you will learn your rights and you'll learn how to hold them accountable to the law, okay? But it's up to you to have that fight in you, okay? So I'll have the book at the end of the video. Also, if you like this video, follow for more, and then share this video to help someone else overcome.
Hey you guys, it's Shamika T. So I want to make this video because I do not trust at all the following: the Department of Revenue and most of the hearing officers that I've been before as it relates to child support. And here's why. In practicing in Florida as a licensed attorney for 8 years, there is not one time I can tell you I felt like I walked into that hearing room before a child support hearing officer, not a judge, a circuit court judge. I'm talking about a hearing officer. And I felt like I was on the same playing field as the attorney who represents the Department of Revenue. So with child support, you have most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you have the mom asking for child support from the Department of Revenue. The Department of Revenue is represented by an attorney who is the Attorney General's office. So what happens is that a private attorney like myself, usually, not always, is representing the father. I've had 2 hearings before 2 separate hearing officers in 2 separate counties in the state of Florida. And I promise you, I had to make sure that I said, may I speak? May I have the witness so that way I can ask questions? Can you pass the witness, etc.? What does that mean? That means in both of those hearings that I just had within 2 weeks in separate counties before 2 different hearing officers, it was almost like I was invisible. They literally were getting ready to take the argument and the opinion from the attorney who represents the Department of Revenue. So what I had to do was make sure that I was on my P's and Q's and knew all the numbers, because I already had my numbers prepared before I went into the hearing. And I had to ask questions to my client and say, well, what about the daycare costs? And what about the fact that you have another child support order? And what about this? And what about that? The reason why that's important is because I know a lot of you guys cannot afford lawyers. I get it. I totally do. But you cannot afford, and I rarely ever say this, but you cannot afford to walk into a hearing officer courtroom and go through child support without knowing all the ins and outs of how they're going to calculate it. Because they're going to sit there and be running the numbers and everything is going to go way past you. They're not going to tell you about, Smith credits. They're not going to talk to you about deviations. They're not going to do any of that. Their goal is to make sure that you pay the highest child support possible. Why? How will we need hearing officers if we're not talking about child support? That's really the main goal of the hearing officer. Why will we need the Department of Revenue if ain't nobody collecting child support? Hello, it's a business. So, having said that, do not go to a hearing before a hearing officer where the Department of Revenue is involved by yourself. I hope that helps somebody.
So you see, there's a lot of people that's against the current child support system. Now, don't use debtor's prison, because that's not going to work, because that debtor's prison was, they were putting people in prison when they owed, but it was with private companies or individuals. The courts would tell you that this is a court order payment, so it's not like a privately issue or anything like that. So you won't win with debtor's prison. So there's probably other ways that you could win, but men would have to get together. They'd have to create a petition to get signatures, and then they would have to state things like what could we say that maybe we could say systemic poverty and enforcement. So, many fathers, especially black and brown, they're jailed, they're penalized for arrears, and that they accrued when maybe they were in jail, maybe when they switched jobs, there was a little break, and now their arrears keep accruing. And so now every time you're supposed to get a certain amount, to pay a certain amount, you make less. And so the courts, they keep building up. So it's like you never can win. So that could be one. So there's no realistic way to pay. And, and also the fact that they're taking away license and the wage garnishment, that can also hurt and make fathers or non-custodial parents move away from working, because they're getting everything taken from them. They can't save, they can't do anything. So that could be it. But I wanted to go into some stats, because, I like to talk about some information on the current child support system. And thanks to Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, which black people love supporting these people, and they just keep screwing us over and over. But, I digress. So when the welfare reform happened, this was in 1996, the new welfare system had replaced aid to families with dependent children with temporary assistance for needy families. And I guess temporary assistance for needy families require custodial parents to identify and pursue child support from non-custodial parents to qualify for benefits. Now, remember that. And this shifted child support from a family support tool to a government reimbursement mechanism, often creating adversarial dynamics between parents, which is true. I've been down that road before, so I know. Okay. And this was the cause. This is how more and more people are going to jail. And the reason why the states don't give up is because the government gives them a lot of money to keep this going. So you have the states keeping this whole government plan, the temporary assistance for needy families, so that way the father, and I really feel that it was designed this way so that men, especially men of color, can face their doom, because losing driver's license, and they're not winning, okay? And it's not working. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because by 2019, over $115 billion in child support debt was owed, mostly by low-income fathers, many of whom are black. So think about it. By 2019, over $115 billion in child support debt was owed. And the numbers just keep rising. It's not going down. It's like the debt. It just keeps going up. Child support orders often exceeded actual income, like I said earlier, especially for men working unstable or gig-based jobs. Okay, license suspension for missed payments blocked access to jobs like truck driving, delivery, and construction. So you tell these fathers to get good paying jobs, but you take away their license, they can't get those good paying jobs. So, something has to give. Now, many fathers accrued debt while incarcerated with no ability to pay, yet were penalized upon release. So think about it. They put you in jail. Like Darius McCrary. He's going to be probably spending 4 years in prison. But the child support don't stop. So they put you in prison. You make what, 15 cents an hour in prison? And then you come out and they say, okay, now you owe this amount. How is he going to pay? And when you put Darius McCrary in prison, he can't get no acting gig, because Hollywood is very funny. They're a shaky bunch of people out there. So he wouldn't get a job acting. He would have to get a 9 to 5. He might be working at the back of as a fry cook. His life is ruined. Okay? His life is ruined. They didn't sit down and say, let's work something out. Now, did he make bad choices? We all made bad choices. I made bad choices. Everybody made bad choices. But do they have to punish and suffer? No. They don't have to, because you want that person in that child's life. But that's not really going to happen. Now, racial disparities and systemic harm. I believe in this one. So black fathers face explicit and implicit discrimination in the labor market, making it harder to secure consistent full-time employment. This is true. Okay? Child support enforcement ignores racial inequality, holding fathers to unrealistic standards and perpetuating bias. The system often fails to account for employment barriers such as prior convictions, lack of transportation, or limited education. So these are the problems. And I'm not even going to say, well, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, and they pushed for this. They pushed for this, and I don't want to say, the white man this, the white man that, but I will say that this was a law created, and the only ones that's hurt, just like Bill Clinton housing initiative, black people and poor and low income whites and Hispanics, especially the ones who lived in the projects, They jumped on the opportunity. Oh, wow, I can purchase a home. And they were purchasing homes like it was, especially these, what they call them, cookie homes, the kind that homes are stacked together. Everybody was just buying these homes. They said they got a home, and then they lost it all because Bill Clinton played them, knowing that Wall Street was going to make fools out of everybody. And then black people lost their homes. Big 2008 financial crash, housing crash, actually. So this is it right here. Child support's the same way. Okay. Impact on black and brown women. Custodial mothers, often black and brown, were forced to cooperate with enforcement even when it harmed co-parenting relationships, which it did. And I'm one of them. As soon as you see that the government is telling you what to do, you say, you know what? I don't want no part of it. Many received little to no actual child support as payments were intercepted by the state to repay welfare costs. And this created a cycle where both parents remained poor and children were caught in the middle. So the only thing I could say is for black mothers is to actually sit back, think about it. Okay? Us men, we're not the best, but if we can sit down and actually have a conversation and to say, you know what, maybe we can't be together. We can't. This isn't going to work. However, we have a child. Let's put our resources together to raise this child. Instead of the first thing those mothers want to do is run and get child support immediately without even asking any question. They run straight for child support. So I think that they really need to sit back and think about this and ask themselves, like, what is the best course of action so that my child doesn't grow up in a single family home and my child can know his father. And vice versa, they can know their mother, because there's mothers too that get burnt out. Okay? So let's look at the summary of this all. The year of the reform was 1996. The total child support debt in 2019, $115 billion. Majority of debtors, low income, non-custodial fathers, disproportionately black. And common enforcement tools, jail, license suspension, wage garnishment. Employment impact, blocked access to high-paying jobs requiring license. So, you tell me, what is the best course of action? So, to those non-custodial parents out there, especially black and brown, we get up here and we say Trump's a racist, Trump this, Trump that. But Stephen A. Smith says something that's 100% correct. He went crawling on his knees like a dummy back to apologizing for what he said about Jasmine Crockett. But Jasmine Crockett isn't talking about this, okay? Especially for you black men, because you're one of the poorest in America. So what you need to do is begin something where we can go and create a petition. I tried this once and I was told, just pay your child support. We're not going to win. We never win. Well, sometimes you just can't give up. Okay. Create a petition. Get as many signatures as possible. You want at least, I would go for the max of 1 million signatures. And then let's put down our gripes on what we feel is unfair, which of course is license suspensions and so forth. And I would ask that it be returned to everybody. Then we can sit down and do a true child support reform, because I do know that children are expensive. So that child needs both parents. You just can't have one while the other one's doing his or her thing. But I would recommend that the parents work things out first before going to child support. Because when you do that, you begin to alienate the father from the child. And that's when you have a whole host of problems. Okay? Why we see these young black boys in gangs and shooting and killing, and a lot of them are going to jail. Okay? And we could begin by changing this whole, our demise, our destruction. We can begin changing it by, number one, let's work on child support reform, so that both parents, so that now fathers can, most of them would see themselves easing away from selling drugs and doing illegal activities, robbing and stealing, and they would be able to have a job, and they could drive trucks, and they can do other things. And then they would be able to be a part of their child's life, because it's not like the government is forcing you. Now, if you turn around and you still say, I ain't giving you nothing, well, okay, well then, now you got to take drastic measures, because yes, a child is very expensive and they need help. But no, the current child support system is creating huge problems, because the debt for child support is rising and there's no end in sight. Okay? And if we don't take a stand, I'm willing to go. We can marching for dumb stuff out there. Let's march for things like child support reform. What do you think? We could go to Washington D.C. March for child support reform. You could get you could sign to have a day where we can block the streets, and we could go out there and we can march for child support reform, so that black men and black women should be wanting to do this, because they sit down and they say that black men should be the breadwinner, the winners, this and that. Well, they should be that, and not have to sit here and look stupid because black women are degrading these black men. Okay? Because they're now the breadwinner and the black man is the poorest ever. He cannot keep up. He can only work as a fry cook. I can't tell you how many black men want to be managers at certain restaurants, but can't, because some got criminal records, others have went to jail for child support. And because now that sits on your record, you're a criminal for child support. So, I don't know, you tell me, but something's got to give, and men need to stand up and stop being a chicken. Stand up and now fight the system. Okay? Anyway, thank you for listening. Yeah, sorry about me changing my shirt, but hopefully I'll stop making a mess of myself. But anyway, once again, thank you for listening. Please remember, like, subscribe, share this channel. You can reach me at themarkperspective@gmail.com. And also, I'm going to start putting out there for others to come and chat with me. This, like, for child support reform. We can do live chats and see where everybody's thoughts are at on this matter. Okay? Well, thank you guys. Y'all have a great evening, and you will hear from me soon. Peace.